Hot dog. I would imagine we're recording. Hope so. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But it's good to see you. Happy 4th, Brett.
Good to see you, Tom, my friend. Happy 4th of July. Happy Freedom Rings.
Freedom rings. I hope you had a nice time. It's actually the 5th at this recording, but we had some nice time yesterday, just
Yeah,
time off. I had some not scheduled time off, but that was still okay. I took advantage of it.
good. Yeah,
It's kind of funny when
I
the holidays come because usually my wife works because it's like time and a half or something.
mm,
And if people are off work and they can come in, especially at the times that are a little bit harder to fill, like the earlier morning times or whatever, people can come in. And of course, kids are coming in at different times because they're on summer break. So usually on the holidays, I have a number of people. I still had, 5 people that came in
uh,
yesterday, so it worked out well. But there was a handful of clients that did not show up, which is fine because I can quickly adapt and fill my time with other things, that I need to do because there's always stuff to catch up on.
yeah,
So
for
it was
sure.
just kind of interesting how, when you reach out and hey, everything all right? And they're like, oh yeah, I figured it was the 4th, so you want it off. So
Yeah, I worked as well. Can't pass by the money. It's good money to work on a holiday, so I worked,
mhm.
no big deal. And I love the 4th of July. And I used to, as a younger man, get out and go to the fireworks and do all you know, that kind of thing. And then I think it was about maybe 10 years ago, I have learned that one, I don't like that muggy heat unless I'm sitting in the swimming pool. I
Yeah.
hate the bugs that come along, and we live in Florida, so there's lots of bugs. So every year I'd get chewed up and just hot and people and bleh. So I had a new tradition is I stay home and I watch the big city fireworks like New York and DC
Yeah.
and I love it. And I just flip around to the different stations, watch the different fireworks displays from around the country. So
Yeah.
that's my
That's pretty
tradition.
cool.
I love it.
Right? I mean, going out and standing in the heat, oohs and ahs and whatnot. I mean, when you've done it, 100 times, seemingly. Well, I guess not actually 100 times, but it feels like 100 times. It's just sort of like, okay, well, that's what it is. A holiday, we have these traditions and these customs, and I think those are good. I think those, routines are good, rituals are good, customs are really good and traditions and whatnot, but it's just another day.
Right. And I think those are good when you continue to enjoy those customs and traditions.
Yeah.
You get to the point where they don't serve you anymore.
Yeah.
It's okay to change your customs and traditions. Like I said, we always went out for the 4th of July. And I remember, traffic and walking. And we moved to Florida, we'd walk down to Memorial Island where they shot off the fireworks. And it was like it wasn't that far, but maybe like a hour walk, 50-minute walk, which is not a big deal, but you got to walk out there, stand in the muggy heat, get chewed up by mosquitoes, be surrounded by a bunch of people you don't know,
Yeah.
and then the walk an hour back at, 11 o'clock at night. So it
Hmm.
just wasn't serving me anymore. And the moral of that story is you don't have to continue to do stuff just because you've always done it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's new traditions. I love my new traditions. I love sitting in the air conditioner. I love watching
Yeah.
flipping on the TV from the
Yeah.
different fireworks displays from around the country. And what I really loved last night is there were several places that instead of fireworks, they did drone displays. That was
Oh, all right.
really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, particularly places that are more prone for wildfires now. It's been, there's a lot of places in the country that are drought ridden, and we're actually kind of one of them coming
Yeah.
into hurricane season. But so there were places that did drone displays last night, and you know what? And there was some commentary on the TV about, oh, is this going to be the new thing? And but the fireworks, that's what we've always done, and it's the whole thing we're talking about is it's okay to change traditions and customs.
Yeah. Well, think about that. I mean, that's an interesting topic for discussion, and maybe that's sort of the talk about our for our podcast today. How many things are we doing? How many behaviors do we have? I mean, to include traditions and whatnot, but just day-to-day things that
Yeah.
we do them because we've always done them.
Right.
And is it in fact serving you?
Hmm.
And if it's not serving you anymore, then let's change those things. Why not?
Hmm. And that's how lots of addictions have started, particularly alcohol addictions. Being Gen X, we watched our parents came home and made a cocktail right
Yeah.
after work. That's just what they did. That was the norm. That was the expectation. The parents got home, they'd make a martini, a Manhattan, old fat, whatever. They made a cocktail, and so we, as a lot of Gen Xers, thought that that's what we had to do. I mean, that's what you learn from watching your role models, and
Yep.
um, so a lot of Gen Xers just get home and crack a beer or pour a glass of wine,
'Cause that's
and
what you
it's
do.
not necessarily what I want. It's not like what I want for myself. That's just my habit. That's what I've you
Hmm.
know, eh, it's just what I've done, and a lot of times, unfortunately, people develop bad habits around alcohol.
Hmm.
And we work with a lot of people to change those habits. Why? Why do you have to pop a beer when you get home? What's the point of that? Well,
Yeah.
that's what I've always done. Okay, that's what you've always done on the bottom sand, right? That was your history.
Yeah.
But top sand says you could do something different.
You could totally do something different. You
Mhm.
can change that up. Is that in fact serving you? You know,
Right.
and sometimes, well, especially with addictions, we convince ourselves that
Mhm.
this is in fact helping us. This
Mhm.
is something for me to look forward to.
Right. And
And
particularly around mental health issues, when people are having some anxiety, some depressed mood, some sleep disturbances, and they're just not fresh, they're not their best. They think, oh, I'm so stressed out, I just need, a glass of wine or a couple of beers will make me feel better.
mhm,
That's actually the worst time to
yeah,
introduce alcohol into your system,
mhm,
because alcohol interferes with sleep big time. And the best thing is, we've talked about time every week. We talk about, if there is any magic potion for mental health, it's sleep, and good patterned sleep. Some sleep rituals, like I go to bed at 11 and I get up at 7, or whatever your ritual is.
yeah.
But when you have alcohol on board, it interferes. You might get you to sleep. And a lot of people say, I have to have some alcohol to get to sleep. Well,
It's
you
not
can get to
quality
sleep,
sleep.
but it's not quality sleep, and you don't stay asleep. Those are the people that always say, well, I wake up at 3 in the morning and I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the alcohol intake you had the night before. Let's explore that a little bit.
Mhm.
But you're right. I mean, we talk about sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. Light sleep restorative to your brain. Deep sleep restorative to your muscles, and REM sleep is restorative to your memories. So, any alcohol on board, and particularly when we talk with people about trauma, you and I both work with local police departments, or I used to. I don't do much
Mhm.
anymore, but and when we go in and do critical incident stress management, the big thing we have to tell these officers after or law enforcement or first responders after a traumatic event is, hey, the longer you can stay off alcohol, don't introduce alcohol, the better off you're going to be processing those traumatic events. So
Mhm.
a lot of people think that alcohol is a good go-to for stress relief, and it's not.
It's just not.
It's
I
just
mean,
not.
you wouldn't like put like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound type of
Right.
thing.
Right.
Like same kind of principle. I know that sounds absurd, and of
Mhm.
course people would say, "Oh, it's ridiculous." Of course you wouldn't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, but like that's what you're doing when you're introducing drugs and or alcohol into the situation when you have a traumatic experience. And like just like with the bullet wound, you want to get to the cause of the problem and repair what damage has been done, maybe remove the bullet and then allow for the healing to occur. It's not going to be happy. It's going to be painful. However, once it heals, you're going to be potentially, back to your normal self or even better and stronger after that. So when it comes to trauma, if we can repair what happens and facilitate the healing process early on, then this is no longer going to be a problem. If you just throw a band-aid over it and use alcohol to kind of cope with it and then avoid this, we see this with grief too. If we just avoid dealing with those things at first, it's going to get worse at some point in time, and then that's going to become your narrative now.
Right. For sure.
How many times have you woken up when we were doing our workouts together and you felt like crap and you're like, I really want to cancel today. I kind of hope Tom cancels today.
Mhm.
And I hope the log isn't out this morning or, or the 75-pound dumbbells. And you
Right.
get there and, we have a shot of espresso and then, we kind of talk a little bit longer to try to avoid getting the workout because sometimes I'm feeling like crap too or whatever, didn't sleep enough. And then we actually go through the workout and you feel better
Mhm.
afterwards. You actually sometimes hit a PR, you hit a higher number
Mhm.
or you did much better than you actually thought you were going to do. And
Mhm.
so it's just subjective in our minds. We can
Right.
still do those things even if we're feeling like crap. You can
Mhm.
still like actually work out. You can still do the things that logically, rationally, that you need to do. So that's
Mhm.
why it pains me so much when people have depression, whether it's situational or chronic depression, where they can say logically, I know I need to do X, Y, and Z. The things we all talk about,
Mhm.
making sure you get good sleep and exercise, water, sticking to a daily schedule, eating healthy, those things. But they don't do them, and
Right.
then it makes their situation worse.
Mhm.
And then, of course, when we say in order to get out of it, you've got to do these simple things, and they know that cognitively, but there's like some sort of block, something missing, and it pains me because I can't flip that switch for the
Mhm.
person. It's
Mhm.
really a mindset and finding the reason why I'm going to be doing that. And the thing that really hurts me is that the reason for being mentally healthy and well isn't good enough for them to switch, to flip that switch.
Yeah.
There's
And,
got to be something else that we have to find.
we talk about like accountability, you and I have worked out every morning 5 days a week for 5 years, and really outside of like a scheduled vacation, you and I missed a handful of days,
Yeah.
maybe. And it was because I got up and I'd lay there. I'm like, I do not want to do this. My muscles hurt. I'm tired. I didn't
Yeah.
sleep. If it wasn't for you, Tom, I would not get up and work out. I would have just
Right.
stayed in bed. But I'm
Mhm.
like, no, I made a commitment to Tom. And I'm just gonna get up and do it. And
Right.
it was never as bad as my head laying in bed going, what as my head told me it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I think there's an important piece to that. If you can find some way to hold accountability to yourself or accountability partner or something when you have to report on yourself
Yeah.
or you have to be accountable to somebody, it changes your motivation.
Yeah.
Um, how many times does like they have weight loss clubs where you
Yeah.
have to report in, like a Weight Watchers or some other things, and you're especially motivated because you're like, I'm not going to that meeting and jumping on that scale in front of
Yeah.
everybody after I ate that half a cake.
Uh-huh.
So I think that if you're really having a hard time finding motivation, and motivation is such a stupid word. I hate it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't exist. There's no such thing as motivation. Motivation is just do it. I mean if you're going to sit around and wait to be motivated, you're going to be sitting around waiting because it
Yeah.
just is never going to, it's not like lightning that's going to strike you. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Mhm.
You just get up. What do they say? 90% of the problem is just showing up.
Yeah. I mean, it's about accountability and discipline. So doing those things, even when you don't want to do those things,
Hmm.
and doing the next right thing. And that's essentially what discipline is. And that, there are so many potentials that could happen, so many things that could go wrong, or perceived suffering, like just thinking about the workouts. I don't want to go work out because I feel like crap and my muscles are sore and they're going to be even, worse off afterwards. And I'm going to continue to feel like crap and, it's going to hurt and the perceived suffering. So that gets in your mind and it makes you not want to follow through with those commitments or those things that you want to do. But I found out when you just do those things anyway,
Hmm.
that it's not as bad as you made it out to be. And
Hmm.
so what if there's a little bit of suffering? Like, it's okay. That's part of our human condition. It's cumulative. You endure a little bit of the suffering now, and then 2 weeks later, you feel stronger and you feel better. and you're hopping in and out and you can breathe better and you're sleeping better and you're focused on eating healthier foods because they don't make you feel like crap and because they're nourishing your body. And all these things add up. And after 6 months, after a year of doing these really good, healthy things, engaging in these healthy habits, you're like a totally different person.
Mhm.
But
For
if you
sure.
stay doing those shitty traditions because this is how I've always done these things, this is just what makes sense, or I don't want to have to endure any of the suffering, then
Mhm.
you're not going to change.
Right.
A
You
year
know,
from
and
now, you'll be the same
it's not
person.
only the things that we do in our daily lives, but I mean those annual traditions, that, oh, for Christmas we got to do this, and for whatever we got to do that, and Thanksgiving we got to do this. It's okay to take a look at those things now and again and say, "Hmm, it's time to switch it up." Our bodies, they always say our bodies change every 7 years, right?
Mhm.
So, I if you're highly allergic to something as a kid, you may grow out of that. If you have asthma as a kid, you may grow out of it. Or as we get older, I can't see for crap. I can't, my hearing is gone. I
Yeah.
can't see. I become more handsome as the day goes by, but everything else is failing. No, I'm just kidding. But it's okay to take a look at the things in your life, and those automatic responses. We are very conditioned to be doing the same thing. We're very patterned and repetitious. So it's okay to take a look at those things. And why do I do the things that I do? Why do I think the way that I think? Why do I say the things that I say? It's okay to take a look at that. We are hardwired to learn new things as human beings. We are very, very good at learning new things, but we are very poor at unlearning old habits that don't serve us. So
Mhm.
those take time.
Yeah. Oh man. Why is it
I
so
hear you,
hard
Tom.
to
It's
change?
Friday
Well,
after a
well,
holiday.
well, it's funny because then I'm going through even me, like I'm going through all these little things that I do on a day-to-day basis when I don't know if they're actually serving me. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it would be healthy for anybody to take an inventory, just be observant, just be a witness to yourself and what you're doing throughout your day and just sort of, you know, ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now serving me? Is it beneficial in any way?
Right.
Is this something that I'm okay with continuing to
Mhm.
do? Does it feel good? Does it give me a sense of security and stability? Maybe it does, and you don't want to change it. Maybe
Right.
it feels good to, for you to, organize your life the way that you've been doing it for the past 30 years, and that feels okay. You don't want to make any changes to that.
Mhm.
Or if you're going through as the witness and inventorying your day and just observing it, and you're like, you know what? Why do I do that particular thing over and over again? It's not really serving me. Maybe I need to toss that out and find a different way, or
Mhm.
maybe try to do it something, change it up, try something different, and you can see that you are adaptable. You can adapt to that new way. It's always good to try to change it up uh, from time to time just to see how you're able to adapt to that new situation.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, some simple things like a lot of people after work, they make dinner, they eat dinner, and then they sit down in front of the TV for 2 hours, watch 2 hours of TV and go to bed, right? That's
Right.
just what you've
Sure.
always done. Well,
Yep.
how about right after dinner, you take the dog for a walk or take yourself for a walk for just a
Right.
half hour,
Right. Just
right?
try it
And
out.
then just try it out and then go to, watch TV for an hour and a half and then go to bed.
Yeah.
And okay, so you don't do that every night, but say do it every other night or do it Monday through
Yeah.
Thursday or something like that. And it's so funny. I had this experience. I went to the grocery store last weekend, I think, and I bought a box of like little ice cream cones, like little mini drumsticks or
Oh
something,
yeah.
right? Because I like ice cream, once in a while. So I bought this, and then one night I sent him the TV, and I went. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have some ice cream. Great. So I ate my little ice cream cone. No big deal, right? I don't need to try
Yeah.
not to eat a lot of garbage, but hey, I like ice cream. And then the next night, it was like I almost was like on autopilot, walking to the freezer to get another drumstick to eat. And I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't even think about this. It was like an automatic, hey, well, at night now I eat ice cream. And it's like,
Right?
okay, yeah, we're not doing that.
Oh, we gotta quit that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have, ice cream once, twice a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway. But it
I
was so funny. I didn't even think about it. My little footsies got off the couch and I started walking towards the freezer. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
and those little guys are dangerous because, like one is probably just the right amount with the right dose, but, like I could probably quickly eat the box of them. Are those the kind where there's like chocolate in the very bottom of the cone?
Mhm.
I couldn't buy those. I wouldn't.
I just
That'd
can't.
be too dangerous. Mm.
Can I just buy one?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I for years, I had convinced myself that I didn't have time to do yoga at night. And, I had gotten introduced to yoga. I really liked it. I did a few classes. In fact, that was one of the first things Kira and I did when we were first dating, is we went to a yoga class. So there's like a soft spot, when it comes
Mhm,
to a positive connotation when it comes to yoga, because of our relationship after 16 years. And so, but I had convinced myself for a long time that I just didn't have time. I've got to do some chores at home. I get home later on. I've got to do maybe a workout. I got to cook. I've got to take care of the dogs and do stuff with them, play with them. We have our quality time. We've got our TV watching time. I don't have time to do yoga, but I'd really like to. And so this year I decided I'm going to do yoga no matter what, every single night, or at least or a day, but usually it's at nighttime.
mhm,
And I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to I'm going to force myself to do it at times. And sometimes it'll be enjoyable, sometimes it'll be a chore. And even if it's just like 10 minutes of doing yoga each day, I'm going to do it. And so no excuses. And you know what? I found the time to do yoga every single day. Like if you really get your mind right and you carve
mhm,
out the time and the space, some days it might be 45 minutes of yoga, some days it might be 10 minutes, and I'm just using yoga as an example, but you
mhm,
fill in the blank, fill in that thing that
mhm.
you would like to do or do, and just do that thing, and without any excuse. Like I've got to do it. I'm going to find the time and the space. I'm going to be adaptable, and you'll end up doing it.
Yeah. Mhm.
But
And if most people could just fill that in with just walking, just go walk,
yeah,
you would feel so much better.
something positive for yourself,
Mhm.
just try that out. Just do that. Make no, don't make any excuse. This is just something that I'm going to do, and not just the first 2 weeks of January, because a lot of people do that.
All
Oh,
right.
I'm going to do this healthy thing for myself. And they do it for 2 weeks. And then like they don't see any results, or they hurt, or it's too time consuming, or I'd rather do something else with that time. And then they fall out. They go back to old patterns and behaviors when it's going to take some time for you to develop a new habit.
Mhm.
It was challenging for me to find the time and the space to be able to do yoga every single night. I was motivated for 2 weeks to do it, and then by the third week, it was kind of like I'd rather just kind of lay in bed with Kira and the dogs and just kind of relax and watch a show. I really don't want to be sweating it up doing yoga. Because I'm, chubbier kind of kid. So me moving around, even though it's just stretching, I start to sweat.
Mhm.
Um, but if you just stick to it, and after a month, now it's a habit.
Right.
Now I'm doing it, no matter
Yeah.
what, no excuses. And now, like it's like clockwork. I just automatically, my body just naturally wants to do the yoga, and whatever that is, you put in that place. um your body, your mind is going to gravitate and look forward to that thing, and you'll just do it, and you'll find the time and the space to be able to do it.
For sure.
you
So,
know
take a look at why you do what you do. Think about things that you want to do different. What are old habits that you are holding on to that don't serve you any longer?
yeah.
What new habits do you want to create, and how are you going to do that? I mean, that's kind of the theme of the day, with our Independence Day becomes I am, independently now going to look at my patterns and my habits.
Right. You don't have to wait until a holiday. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't have to wait until January 1st to make these changes happen.
No.
And some people are designed, myself, I'm sort of a hodgepodge of both, but some people are more like, I need to make radical big changes in my life in order for me to stick to it and follow it. That makes more sense. And some people are, I need to make like smaller bite-sized changes, and over time they'll work. I've seen it, both of them work really well for me, so I'm kind of in the middle, I guess. But depending on how you are, if you know that if you make big radical changes, the likelihood of you sticking to that is probably slim, then don't make big radical changes. Make
Right.
full bite-sized consumable changes for yourself, and then just keep making a change. Okay, this week I'm going to make sure that I drink 90 ounces of water every single day, and I'm just going to focus on that. Then just do that. And then after 2 weeks of that, once you've successfully adapted to that new version of yourself that's drinking 90 ounces of water per day, then add 20 minutes of a walk, right? And so now do that for another 2 weeks, and if you
Right.
start to slowly build, hey, what's going to happen after 6 months of you just adding something? Okay, now I'm going to add 10 push-ups a day with the 90 ounces of water and the 20-minute walk. Okay, now I'm going to add in reading,
Right.
reading, a couple pages each night to, now I do 10 push-ups a day. Now I do walk 20 minutes. Now I drink 90 ounces of water. You'll find the time and space because there's a lot of time in the day
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do all these healthy things.
Just get on your phone and look at how long you looked at TikTok yesterday. Don't tell me
Exactly.
you don't have time.
You have time. You have time. And imagine how good you're going to feel
Mhm.
after 3 months, 6 months, a year of doing these healthy things for yourself. Like, and I know that means you have to sacrifice some time. You have to
Mhm.
sacrifice TikTok watching or YouTube watching time or even TV watching time. But
Come
it's
on, how many times have you seen the Hawk 2 girl? Come on. You don't need to see it again.
oh my God, you got to spit on that thing, right? Well, whether you want to see it or not, man, you're gonna see
I
it. It's all over. Whatever social media, whatever outlet, if you're just on the internet, you're gonna see these trends, these things that pop up that go viral. It's funny. Oh, do it, girl.
All right, Tom.
Thank you so much. So, take an inventory, witness yourself during your day-to-day activities, and is this habit serving me or not serving me? And if it's not, then maybe you want to change it. And if you do want to change it, what positive thing could you put in its place and then start doing that thing?
Awesome.
Great to
Love
have you. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that was helpful. Of
it.
course, send in your questions if you want us to tackle any topic or answer a question for you to questions@therapyunzipped.com. And we'll be doing this next week.
All righty, Tom. Thank you for your time. Good to see you as always.
Same. I'll see you next
Have,
week
have a great weekend.
too.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
y'all. Questions at therapyunzip.com.